Many people don't understand the importance of spending time with God every single day. They assume that going to church on Sunday is about all they need to be able to do to make it through the week. God doesn't desire a once per week relationship with us. He wants to be a part of our everyday lives. He wants to be close to you every single day, all the time, throughout any activity you do. Today, we are learning about how Moses went before God and his face was glowing because he was in the presence and it changed him. If we are to accomplish God's plan for our lives, we must not rely on our own strength. We must be in God's presence every single day, receiving his strength, and that can change us. So instead of being too busy or not focusing on him, we need to stop, sit, and stay in God's presence. And you know what? It could change us. But first, as we go through the rest of today's lesson, let's check in with Captain Obvious.
Man, I've been sitting here waiting for Master Treelimb for like forever. What's taking him so long?
Here I am.
Well, it's about time. I've been waiting for forever.
I'm sorry, Captain Obvious. I would have been here sooner, but I was spending time with God in prayer.
Oh, well, I guess that's okay. But listen, you pray like every day. Would it hurt you to just skip one day to meet me here a little sooner?
Captain Obvious, there's no way that I would want to skip out on my time with God every day. It's way too important to me.
Well, I know that prayer is important and stuff, but why do you have to spend time with him every day? I mean, you go to church on Sundays, isn't that enough?
Well, let me ask you this. How often do you eat food?
Well, a lot, like 3 times a day. And hey, what are you saying? Are you calling me fat?
No, not at all. I'm saying you eat food every day because you need strength and energy, right?
Right.
Well, spending time with God is like spiritual food. When you spend time with God, He gives you the energy to do the things He's called you to do.
I guess I never really looked at it like that.
And would you only take a shower on Sundays?
Well, of course not. I'd really stink if I did that.
Exactly. When you spend time in God's presence, it allows Him to cleanse you and change you. It makes you just like Him.
Man, I just didn't understand the importance of spending time in God's presence, I guess.
You know, your Bible hero Moses spent time with God. He was so changed by God's presence that people could actually see when he had been with God.
Really? How?
That's what the kids are going to learn about today.
Awesome! Well, I hope you learned the exact same thing that I just learned. Spending time in God's presence every day is so important. It's not just for Sundays, it's for every days.
That's right. Now you ready to head out on that mission?
I sure am, but first, I want to pray.
Good idea.
What's up, children? I'm Devontae, and I'm going to tell you our what's up, and that is, I will be in God's presence every single day. Not every other day, not every 4 days, not once a month, not once a week, but every single day. All right, I need us to, we're going to do it all together. We're going to do it all together from the beginning. I think this is important. We all need to stand together and proclaim that we're going to be in God's presence every single day. All right, so everybody stand to your feet. We're going to do, actually, let's do leaders or parents versus kids. So all the kids, you'll go first. Stand up to your feet, and you're gonna repeat after me on the count of 3. 3, kids first. 2, 1. I will be in God's presence every single day. Great job, kids. That was pretty good. Now, kids can take a seat. All kids can take a seat. Let's see if the leaders or the parents can do better than the kids. All right. Repeat after me on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. I will be in God's presence every single day. Great job, leaders. Great job, parents. Now everybody, parents, leaders, kids, all together. One last time, everybody stand to your feet. I'll give you 3 seconds and we're all gonna do it as loud and proud as we can. On the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. I will be in God's presence every single day. Great job, everyone. You can all take a seat, and that is our What's Up.
Hello, hello. I am Jebel, famous fashion designer extraordinaire, and I design costumes for superheroes. Today, I am working on a costume for the cross-eyed kid. Well, while I'm working on that, I need you to get in to today's power verse. And today's power verse, it says, because of Christ and our faith in him, we can now come boldly and confidently into God's presence. Ephesians 3:12. That is a fantastic power verse, and I need someone to help me say it together. So let's have the boys stand up on their feet and let's say it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Because of Christ and our faith in him, we can now come boldly and confidently into God's presence. Ephesians 3:12. That was a very good job, boys. Have a seat, have a seat. Listen, I need all of the females to stand up on their feet and let's say it together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Because of Christ and our faith in him, we can now come boldly and confidently into God's presence. Ephesians 3:12. Fantastic job. Have a seat, have a seat. I want to share something with you. Some people, they come to me and they say, Jabo, what helps you to be such an amazing costume designer? I tell them, it starts with my routine of waking up, grabbing my coffee, and spending a little bit of time with God. Every time I spend time with God, I say to him, could you please help me today? Give me some great ideas, help me to design some great costumes. And he does. So if you're ever struggling, just remember, if you spend daily time with God, he will help you do the same. Now, I need everyone to stand up with me and let's say the power verse together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Because of Christ and our faith in him, we can now come boldly and confidently into God's presence. Ephesians 3:12. Very good, very good. Have a seat, have a seat. While you were learning that amazing power verse, I finished the design for the cross-eyed kid. Are you ready to see it? Yeah! Okay, here it is. Well, boys and girls, it has been very fun showing you my costume designs. But for now, I need to go design more costumes. So until next time, this is your boss saying, peace out.
Today's Bible story is found in Exodus chapter 34. Moses had been leading the Israelites for quite a long time in the wilderness. You might remember that the Israelites tended to do a lot of complaining and fussing along the way. Can you imagine how tired Moses must have gotten at these times? Moses wasn't exactly a young man anymore. Besides that, he was constantly dealing with difficulties and problems that came along as a result of leading the Israelites. Moses knew exactly where he needed to go to receive strength. It's the same place that you and I must go, into the presence of God. One day, Moses returned from spending time up on top of a mountain talking with God. There was something different about Moses though. The people noticed that Moses had a strong glow on his face. The glow was because he had spent time talking with God face to face, and the glory of God was so strong that it radiated all over his face. There is no doubt that Moses had spent time with God because that was the only thing that could have caused such a glow on his face. The glow was so strong that the people couldn't look directly at Moses' face. His face glowed too strongly from being in the presence of God, and it hurt their eyes. So Moses had to do something about it. Moses placed a veil over his face so that he could talk with the people. From that point on, whenever Moses went into God's presence to spend time with God, he would take the veil off while he was in prayer. Then, when Moses left God's presence, he would put the veil back on so that his face glow wasn't too strong for the Israelites. Can Can you imagine what that must have been like? What would it look like to have it so obvious that you would spend time in God's presence that everyone around could literally see it? Well, in your lesson today, you are going to learn that each one of us can have this kind of experience. Now, I don't mean that your face is literally going to glow like Moses's, but you will learn that when you spend time with God, amazing things happen and you are literally changed.
Stories of the Bible. Moses and the Tent of Meeting. This is Moses,
Hello.
who was an Israelite who grew up in the palace of the Egyptian Pharaoh. When Moses was much older, God called him to take his people out of Egypt with the help of his brother Aaron.
Let me hear God.
After God showed his miraculous power in Egypt, he led the Israelites through the Red Sea and towards the Promised Land. They followed God, who showed himself as a cloud by day and fire by night. While they were in the wilderness, God and Moses would talk in a place called the Tent of Meeting.
Morning, Moses. Morning.
Moses would take the tent and pitch it outside the Israelite camp. Everyone who wanted to ask God for something would go to the Tent of Meeting outside the camp. Whenever Moses went out to the Tent of Meeting,
See you in a bit.
all the people would watch Moses until he disappeared inside. As he went into the tent, the pillar of cloud would come down and hover at its entrance while the Lord spoke with Moses.
Wow!
Inside the Tent of Meeting, the Lord would speak to Moses face to face, just as one speaks to a friend. And because of what Jesus did on the cross, we can talk to God as if we were talking to a friend too.
Today, we are talking about spending time with God. Moses fully understood the importance of spending time with God in prayer and in worship. After all, Moses is the one who was responsible for building the first church building called the Tabernacle. He knew it was important to be with God every opportunity he had. Why is it so important to be in God's presence? Well,
I am changed in God's presence. Moses was definitely changed after he had spent time with God. His face was glowing from being around God's glory. Isn't that so cool? Now, you probably won't have that happen after you pray. Most likely you won't walk out of church today and have your face all glowing all over the place. But anytime you're in God's presence, you are changed. God's power changes us. It changes our bad attitudes to good attitudes. God's power changes our sadness to joy. God's power changes our sinfulness to righteousness. When you spend time in God's presence, you will be changed. And not only that, but
Others will see the change. Moses wasn't aware there had been a change to anything on his face. He didn't know that there was glowing that was coming off of it. But when he came down from the mountain, everyone else noticed. It was obvious to all the people Moses had been changed in the presence of God. Here's what I want you to think about today. Do people notice that you have been in God's presence? Does it affect the way you look, the way you talk, the way you treat people? Is it obvious just by looking at you that you have been in the presence of God? Jesus instructed us in Matthew 5:16, "Let your light shine for all to see, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." The world is a dark place because of sin, but God wants others to see his light in our lives. Light can easily be seen in darkness. This room would be so dark if the lights were turned off. But because I have lights around me as we record, you can see me well, and it highlights everything that we want on this video. Where does that light come from? It comes from being in the presence of the light. Jesus called himself the light of the world in John 8:12. When you spend time with the light, you become like the light. Now, can you imagine if all Christians took the time to spend every single day just a little bit of time with God and let the world see the change from that time with him? What would it look like? That's the kind of difference we can all make if we spend time with God in His presence and let the glow of His presence to be seen by others. It would be amazing. I think we all would agree that it would be best if every Christian spent time in God's presence and allowed Him to change them to what He wants them to be and how He wants them to be seen. But that doesn't always happen. But you know what? You can choose. You can make that decision. There's one more thing.
We're all busy. There are many things that compete for our attention every day. Friends, sports, school, video games, television, and more. If we don't make spending time in God's presence a priority before everything else, then it probably won't happen. Maybe you can make plans to spend time with God when you first wake up. Perhaps it's better for you to make spending time with God the very last thing you do before you lay down in bed. Whenever it is that you make time to be in God's presence, the most important thing is that you make time to be in God's presence. No matter how busy your life may be, you must make time to stop what you're doing, drop to your knees in prayer, and let the glory of God glow in your life for others to see.
Because of Christ and our faith in Him, we can now come boldly and confidently into God's presence. Ephesians 3:12.
Welcome back to Rewind Review. I'm your host, Mr. Josh. We have our round 3 contestants, Mr. Devante and Miss Monique.
Hello.
Now, I would love for you guys to play at home, see how many you can get correct. All right, let's get started. The first question, what is up today?
Is it, I will follow Jesus?
Incorrect.
I will, it's every single day. Whatever
Incorrect.
we're doing is every single day.
That is true.
Be in God's presence every single day.
That is correct, Mr. Devante. 1-0. Number 2, where had Moses been spending time with God in our Bible story?
He was in the mountains spending time with God.
That is true. Did you guys get that? All right, it's head to head. Number 3, what did people notice about Moses' face?
It glowed. Not sparkly, but glow. It's a glow to his face.
Handsome. Number 4, what caused Moses' face to glow?
The presence of the Lord.
That is so true. All right, number 5, what did Moses put over his face to hide that glow?
A cloak.
More like a veil.
A veil is correct.
Like,
Cloak.
Cloak goes like over your head, whereas a veil's kind of cover like the front.
Okay.
So
What she
it's
said.
almost- It's almost there.
Number
Okay.
6, according to our lesson today, I am blank in God's presence.
I am in God's presence.
It starts with a C. CH.
Changed.
Correct, Mr. Devante.
Okay.
All right, number 7. According to our lesson today, others will blank the change.
Others are going to see the change.
Ooh, correct, Miss Monique. You got a strong lead. Number 8. According to our lesson today, I must make blank for God every day.
Time.
Time is correct. Number 9. Jesus said, I am the blank of the world.
The light.
Correct. Number 10. And this is going to be a winner takes all question.
Okay.
So high stakes, like spare rib, prime rib, New York strip. Where was our power verse found?
Psalms 4:4.
Psalms 4:4 is correct. Miss Monique is our winner for this game show. Thank you, Mr. Devante. Thank you guys for playing at home. We love hearing your responses, and I'll see you next week on Rewind Review.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this. We love that you check out these videos. Now that it's done, I've got to go. So I'm going to go do some stuff. I know y'all are busy too. Have a great day. And do not forget to cut out some time this week where you can connect with God, because it makes a difference. See you next time.